There we are, over top the feature match area. You see we've just gotten into turn 2. Sam Black on your left, Jesse Hampton on your right. Sam has suspended a search for tomorrow already, and see that Jesse's done the same.
Right. Both these players know that fixing their mana and finding the colors they need is crucial, although Sam Black's deck is only 2 colors as opposed to Jesse's 3. Sam playing kind of a nice mid-rangey aggressive blue-green deck, and Jesse playing a 3-color green-white blue deck.
Both these players at 8-0, so they're guaranteed to get into tomorrow, but both of them at an undefeated record are thinking about more than just getting to tomorrow. They're thinking about getting into the top 8.
Absolutely, and these players are no stranger to success. In fact, the last time I remember seeing these 2 names together was when Sam Black and Jesse Hampton both were in the top 8 of Pro Tour Philadelphia. So, no strangers there.
Glenalendra Archmage for Sam Black, who was obviously on the play here. And he's just going to run it out there. For now, hey, it's a 2-2 flyer.
Right, and Jesse has plenty of good non-creature spells in his deck that Sam can just counter, and Glenalendra Archmage, very strong, a lot of good non-creatures in this format. Tromp the Domains is one of them you might want to counter out of Jesse's deck.
Would you ever think about countering some of the early ramp? You know, if there's a turn 4 Kodama's Reach, do you at least consider countering that?
Oh, absolutely, especially because with Glenalendra Archmage, you get 2 uses out of it. So the first one could be spent on a ramp, and then you can save the second one, you know, for some situation you might really need it.
Well, there's the Sanctum Gargoyle. That's the first time we've seen that today. That was one of the cards that came up on the slides as one of the most popular or one of the most successful cards in the draft format. There's a Thallid for Sam. Shell Dweller Thallid. It's just inevitability.
Right, and even though a 0/5 isn't that good against Jesse Hampton's 2/3 flyer, you get tokens, you know, every time, every upkeep it gets a counter, you remove 3 counters, you get a 1/1 token, and Sam might have some ways to speed that process up too with Spore Source Salad or Spore Loft Ancient.
Jesse making quite a splash there with his Muldrifter, which runs into a Logic Knot from Sam Black.
For 8. All right.
And there's a lot of really strong cards in this format that can provide card advantage. Muldrifter is one of them. So Sam knows you have to keep that card advantage off the table, especially in a matchup like this, where you want to have as many cards as possible to create as many options as possible. Looks like a pretty stocked hand there for Jesse Hampton. I see a Vidalcan Dismisser, a Tromp the Domains, an Aether Spellbomb.
There's that Spellbomb that Gavin mentioned.
And an Aether Snipe, too.
And an Aether
Wow.
Snipe. Man, that's tempo, isn't it?
Right. But tempo that requires a 6th land, which Jesse does currently not have.
He cycled his Aether Spellbomb. I mean, Sam doesn't have any like big scary things to really keep off the board.
At least yet.
At least yet.
Right, 2 Imperiosaurs, 2 Dirkwood Baloths in Sam Black's deck, and 2 Maston Mirrors, as well as a Vertaloth the Ancient.
Oh my goodness.
Take it all the way up. I'm sure that's a card you're quite familiar with.
Yeah, I love that card back in the day. I mean, that's out of Invasion. That's
right. And brought to us to Modern by the Time Spiral bonus sheet.
Yep.
All kinds of crazy stuff there.
All right, so the Gargoyle is going to fly over and get in.
And note that we saw Sam use the Glenalendra Archmage to counter the Thirst for Knowledge at the end of his turn. We wanted to make sure Jesse could not access more cards. Like we said, cards are super important. Sam's willing to spend resources to help there.
Resource denial isn't always just stripping lands away.
Right. Cards in hand are resources, lands are resources, even your graveyard can be a resource in this format.
That's not the first hard-cast Ephemeron we've seen.
No, and you know, a 7-mana 4/4 flyer isn't breaking any records, but with the great suspend ability on it, you know, I'm happy to pay 7 when I draw it for the 4/4 flyer, and here it's quite good for Sam Black.
Well, certainly it's going to hold off Jesse's only threat at the moment.
At least, unless Jesse plays one of his 2 bounce creatures, which I think is going to be pretty likely right here. I think we'll see that Ephemeron either dismissed or Aether Sniped.
Yeah, the Dismisser seems like the stronger play because it puts it on top of his library.
Yes.
It costs him a draw step.
Definitely agree. That's the play I would make, but we'll see what Jesse does. Or he drew Sentinel Woodreader, so he might also just want to draw some more cards.
Drawing cards is good from what I understand.
So we've seen Jesse go Muldrifter, counter, Thirst for Knowledge, counter. Finally, he picks up a couple cards here with his makeshift Muldrifter, Sentinel Woodreaders.
Makeshift Muldrifter. Sam's like, all right, I'm just going to fly over here.
Yeah. Drops Jesse to 15 life.
Oh, there's the Bailoff. Man, that's hard casting all these suspend creatures.
I don't need the suspend cost. I'll play them all for retail. But, this matchup is kind of slow, so Sam has the time to do that, too, which is nice. He knows that he doesn't necessarily need to rush. I mean, he would have suspended them earlier in the game if he could have, of course.
Sure.
But, playing them this late is still perfectly reasonable, as we can see evidenced by the board.
And meanwhile, that Thallid is just going to build up its spore counters, and eventually it's going to spit out a bunch of Saprolings.
Now, Jesse did draw some pretty strong cards off that Sentinel Wood Readers. I see a Cryptic Command sitting in his hand, which could be a huge way to get past, provided he ever gets rid of that Glenlunder Archmage.
There's the Ether Snipe, and Sam points to the Archmage. Jesse doesn't bite, and takes the Ephemeron, and then swings over for 2.
Yeah. Can't blame Sam for trying, right?
The worst he can say is no, right?
And the best he can say is yes.
Yeah. Good players figure out ways to win games.
Right. Well, especially 8 rounds into this huge tournament, you never know what might work. Makes a Saproling there with that Shell Dweller. It looks like Sam drew a Moldervine Cloak. Now, he has 2 Moldervine Cloaks in his deck. That really helps with his flying army, making sure he can push through for damage. You put that on an Ephemeron, and suddenly you're crashing in for 7 points of damage. And even if they say Velek can dismiss it, you can always just dredge it right back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Sam is also gripping incremental growth, which is really interesting with Glenlunder Archmage, because if you put a +1/+1 counter on it, it'll negate the -1/-1 counter, and you can reuse it again.
Strong. That would be strong.
Right.
Okay, there's a Saproling. There you see the Moldervine Cloak as Sam gives his head a good scratch. No doubt going deep into the tank.
Right, trying to figure it out. Do you want to start cloaking and attacking? You could go for cloak and incremental growth for kind of aggressive plan. You could also just recast that Ephemeron. Of course, if you recast the Ephemeron, what Sam doesn't know is Jesse has a Dismisser waiting in the wings to send him back another turn.
Well, like we saw with Sam taking the hit from the Yosei for a turn in the last game we saw him in. If you're not under a great deal of pressure, it's not as bad as if you were facing down some serious threats. Well, I guess that Ether Snipe is pretty serious at 4/4.
Right. I mean, he's got the Baloth to hold it off, but I think Sam also just kind of wants to go aggressive. Looks like he's going to switch off that Glenlunder Archmage counter with an incremental growth, and also grow up his Baloth and a Saproling token.
Which is why he took which is why he made the Saproling token in the first place.
Right. Absolutely.
So.
And now he has a 4/4 Saproling, which could trade with that Aether Snipe and can attack pretty free. He has a 6/6 Baloth, which gets past Jesse's 2 creatures, and he's got the Glenlunder Archmage that can attack as well. So a strong incremental growth by Sam Black.
All right, so Sam is in with the Saproling, the Baloth, and the Archmage.
And now if you're Jesse, you have to kind of figure out how you want to block here. Suddenly Sam has gone from, when you see the power of incremental growth, Sam's gone from pretty middling board state to, wow, that's a pretty aggressive board state. A 6/6, a 4/4, and a 3/3 flyer. And Jesse may have a Dismisser in his hand, but still quite a sizable force mounted by Sam Black. And he's got the Moldervine Cloak too.
Right. And we see Jesse with the Cryptic Command in his hand.
Right. And that Tromp. So trading off creatures here is definitely weak for Jesse because he wants to have tons of creatures in play, so his Tromp domains gets maximum value if and when he can finally deal with the Glenlunder Archmage. Although now with another use back in the Archmage, it's going to be hard for him to do that.
There's one trade, there's one kill. I think you'll trade a Saproling token for an Ether Snipe any day.
Absolutely. Incremental growth, doing pretty good work there for Mr. Black.
Drops Jesse down to 12. He's going to come back on the re-attack with the Gargoyle. Drops Sam to 14. And there's the Dismisser.
All right, so now the big question is, do you want to dismiss the Archmage or the Baloth? And the Baloth is what's going to go back on top. Seems like the right call to me.
Well, again, it sets him back a turn. It's something he's got to spend a lot of mana to recast.
Right. Either way, the Archmage is going to have 2 uses. So bouncing it doesn't cost as much mana and doesn't prevent as much damage.
Okay, so he flies over for 3. Just another hard cast with the Baloth, leaving up 1 mana for the Archmage.
Right. And Sam's a great player. He knows that he doesn't want to lose to any powerful instant or sorcery that might be hiding in Jesse's hand. Keeping up that blue mana is all times is going to be something that I bet we'll see Sam continue to do for as long as that Archmage is on the battlefield.
Well, the Gargoyle is, the Gargoyle is just not as good as the Archmage is right now.
But speaking of big creatures, in Jesse Hampton's hand, I see an Imperiosaur and a Knight of the Reliquary. Imperiosaur is a base 5/5 for 4, and Knight can grow to be quite huge, so he might be able to mount a force of his own, but can it stop the might of that 3/3 Archmage serving in turn after turn?
There's the Knight of the Reliquary. There's the Imperiosaur. And there's the battle. So now, Sam's got to think about this Moldervine, the Moldervine Cloak on the Archmage play.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It doesn't speed up his clock necessarily, because if he attacks for 3 here and then cloaks it next turn, it's a surprise 3 damage. On the flip side, if he thinks Jesse might have some kind of way to deal with his Archmage, then getting in for the 6 here is huge. On the flip side, if Jesse plays a spell that Sam wants to counter,
he loses
the cloak.
At least until he dredges it back.
Right, exactly.
So some convoluted play lines. Looks like Sam Black is just going to battle in with the Archmage and the Baloth as is.
Right. And I think if you're Jesse Hampton, you need to trade with that Baloth here.
Four cards, Sam Black says in response to Jesse's, how many cards do you have in your hand?
We got a good view of Sam's hand there. The mystery card that we don't know is Echoing Truth, which could be quite relevant in this situation, getting a blocker out of the way so we can suit up his Archmage next turn to attack for the final 6 points of damage. And there's the Ephemeron back to play.
Again, keeping the 1 up. The thing is, Jesse going to 6, but we know Jesse has the Cryptic Command.
Right, but the Archmage, of course, will shut that down. Of course, if he cracks the Archmage, then he can't attack with it that turn.
Right.
But the Ephemeron still gets in. We do see Jesse draw Path to Exile here. Something to watch out for is you can respond to Glenlunder Archmage's ability while it's still in the graveyard, and so he could potentially use both spells. You could say cast a Cryptic Command, Jesse or Sam uses the Glenlunder Archmage, and then Jesse in response Path to Exile.
With the Persist trigger on the stack.
Exactly. And normally Glenlunder can counter 2 spells, but if that Persist triggers on the stack and Glenlunder is in the Archmage, Glenlunder Archmage is in the graveyard, then Jesse would have a very small window to cast another instant and get it through. And I'm sure Jesse's running through all these permutations in his brain right now, trying to figure out exactly what the right line of play is. With a Tromp, a Path, and a Cryptic Commands.
Huh.
Let's see, I wonder if Jesse has any lands in his deck he could search up with that Knight that are relevant here. Nope, looks like just a Terramorphic Expanse, which will grow it by 2 because you can sacrifice the Expanse, but no Blinkmoth Nexus or anything that could block a flying creature.
No Sajiri Step.
No Sajiri Step, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, is there a play line here with him playing Tromp?
Let's see, so Jesse has 9 mana. He could play the Tromp, but I think that would leave him a little too defenseless. I guess he would Glenlunder to counter it, and then he could Path to Exile the Ephemeron in response, which is, that's a reasonable board state.
Here, give me a cell. He just passes the turn, so he's gonna want to make Sam spend his Archmage and keep it from attacking.
Right. And once again, Jesse has the Path to Exile, so he can respond to that Persist trigger and take out that Ephemeron, which would definitely set Sam Black back.
Okay, Sam just goes in, and we see Jesse saying, Path that Ephemeron.
See if we can send that Ephemeron right into Exile.
Now, we haven't gotten to blockers yet.
Right.
So depending on what Sam does. And I think the play here is let that be exiled, go get the land, and let the Archmage come through.
It's a pretty good play by Sam Black. I think a lot of players' instinct is they played a spell, they're killing my creature, let's just crack the Archmage.
Right.
And it seems like you want to keep your Ephemeron attacking because it's a 4/4, but that extra counter activation on the Glenlunder Archmage could be so potentially crucial in this matchup that he doesn't want to risk it. And it looks like Jesse just takes the damage.
Yep, sure does. He goes to 3.
Oh.
There's Vertaloth.
Vertaloth the Ancients. And kicked twice, I believe?
Yep.
So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And 8. So yeah, that should be 2 1/1 Saproings, and it gives all of Sam's Saproings +1/+1 to boot.
Which makes them dangerous coming back. Jesse is going to try to Cryptic Command here.
All right.
Yeah, he's grasping at straws for a moment. And
Sam is going to counter that.
He's going to counter that.
And now Jesse has a window to resolve his trump. Sam is tapped out because he only left 1 blue mana up. But is that going to be enough? I don't think it is, but I guess we can count and find out. So that would make the Sanctum Gargoyle a 5/5, the Dismisser a 5/5, and the Knight. Did he find a Terramorphic Expanse with the Knight? I would imagine he did. So the Knight would be a 7/7? 7, 5, 16.
Yeah, with Vertaloth and his relatively large backside, it's not enough. I don't think it's enough to kill him.
Yeah, the 7 toughness. I think Jesse.
Vertaloth a 4/7 natively.
Right, and those Saplings are 4/4s. Plus you have the 0/5 Thallus Shell Dweller. I think Sam has more than enough toughness to not get tromped out here. And Jesse doesn't want to risk showing him the tromp. He knows this is not going to win him the game. So there's no reason to show it here. And he can buy one more turn potentially by chumping with the Sanctum Gargoyle, although we know Sam Black has Echoing Truth in his hand.
Right. You know, it's almost as great a mystery here. Well, he's going to go with the Moldervine Cloak on the Archmage.
All right.
The Vertaloth, the Archmage. Real conservative play here from Sam Black.
Right. Now Jesse has got to block that Archmage with the Sanctum Gargoyle, right? So the question, I guess, from Jesse's perspective is, how can he win? And how can he win? And how should he block that Vertaloth? I'm not sure what the size is on the Knight right now. If it is indeed a 4/4, he can get up to a 5/5 and block the Vertaloth pretty safely. But if it's only a 3/3, then you have to be a little more concerned if you're Jesse Hampton.
Yeah, Jesse's graveyard is a little bit off the top of our monitors. We can't quite see it. There's the Deceiver block. Oh, look at that. There is 1 land in his graveyard.
Perfect. It's interesting because Jesse's deck has a Terramorphic Expanse, and I don't think he's used it yet. So he could have pumped his Knight up by 2 potentially. But
unfortunately for Jesse, his draw was a land. He scoops him up, and we're going to go to game 2. Sam Black takes game 1 from Jesse Hampton, and now the mystery of what we're going to see unfolds. What deck are we going to get from Sam Black in game 2?
Right. So I walked up to Sam Black in round 4, round 5, and I said, show me your deck. I want to see what you're playing. And he hands me his blue-green deck. And I'm like, okay, this deck looks pretty good, right? I mean, as we just saw on camera, it's got some pretty strong cards. Then he opens up his deck box, and he hands me another deck. And he's like, this is my Red-White Giants deck. And I'm like, wow, Sam, this deck looks really good too. Your pool is quite good. And then when he was playing, 2 rounds ago, round 7, he brought in a 3rd deck yet that he didn't even show me. In between the time that I had talked to him and he had come on camera, he had created a blue-black Fairies deck.
Yeah, that was awesome. So he's going through it now. He's opened up his deck box.
So he just put his Red-White Giants deck back in the deck box. So do you think he's going to stick with his blue-green deck here?
He's got to. I mean, unless he is going to last minute. He's making some notes here. Maybe he's waiting to see how many cards Jesse Hampton sides in. He's going to figure out what Jesse has. You know, he might just be writing down, okay, what are the great cards out of Jesse's deck that I've seen so far, and how do they operate against my deck?
Right.
And can I blow him out by getting really cool cards in?
Right. I mean, and looking at Jesse's sideboard, some of the cards that Jesse is not playing. Let's see, what could he want to bring in here? Like, this is kind of a more controlling matchup, which I think is why Sam likes his blue-green deck a lot, because he's got a lot of tempo elements in there, right? He's got like 2 Masked Admirers to draw him cards. He's got all the suspend creatures. And looking down Jesse's deck list, I'm seeing what he might want to sideboard into. There's a Feud Killer's Verdict, which might be pretty good in this kind of matchup because life total stayed pretty even. Gaining 10 life and getting that 5/5 could be a pretty reasonable thing to do. He's got 2 Saltfield Recluses he could potentially think about bringing in if he wanted to slow down any of Sam's late game assault or help Sanctum Gargoyle block a little bit.
Okay, we're going to get a sneak peek over here. Sean, Monty, and Martin Juza, and we are already in Game 3. So this has been a pretty savage matchup already.
Yeah, it looks like the decks are fast and furious. Sean's playing some kind of red-black Goblins deck with already a little bit of Giants with that Stink Drinker out there. And Martin is playing, it looks like black-white. You see some Rebels and some Thalids?
This is a match in the 6 and 2 bracket, so both of these guys are playing to get into day 2.
Right, this is the bubble match.
I forgot who won the dice roll too.
I do that every time I roll dice.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, so I'm gonna go first. And my opponent's like, no. I'm gonna
All right, so
okay,
Martin Juza,
Sean,
on your right, Sean Monty on the left.
What are you supposed to say? Like,
Something really interesting, speaking of sideboarding into decks, Martin Juza's main deck is actually a Dampened Thought deck. So he too has sideboarded into a crazy concoction for games 2 and 3.
No, I let him get me.
Well, there's Dream Spoiler Witches, which we saw Sam Black use masterfully in the last time he was on camera.
Now, in Sean's hand is Una, Queen of the Fae, which is quite a powerful card if he's able to cast it. It looks like he's about 1 mana off.
I would call that a bomb.
Absolutely. In fact, I've been going up to people who are doing well, and I keep asking them, which Moloku do you have?
Right.
Do you have Moloku, which is the blue Moloku, Una, the blue-black Moloku, or Skillful Vampire, which is the black Moloku?
Right.
So whichever one you have, they're all good.
We were talking, Marshall and I were talking last round about a deck that we saw that was splashing black for Kusho, Wrathy Trapper, and Skeletal Vampire. Now, and my question was, do you really like to splash a 2 black mana card, even if it's as good as Skeletal Vampire?
Well, it depends a lot on the deck and the format, just because in a 9-round tournament this big where you need to kind of do really well to make it, and if you don't think your pool's that good, you might just have to go for it and just hope you get there. But, you know, these players have obviously opted for some pretty consistent decks, and as we see, Martin's opted a couple more consistent creatures to his board. The 3-mana 2/2 Flyer Fairy Macabre, always a perfectly fine choice. 3-mana 2/2 Flyer, staple in most formats. Dream Spoiler Witches and Pallid Microderm versus Sean Monty's Stink Drinker.
Metamorphose. Let me draw a card here.
All right. He was really looking for a land there so he could cast that Una, but he's going to have to settle for cycling Absorb this instead.
Thanks, I didn't play it in the first one that came out in. It was pretty awful.
Looks like he finds a land.
Una is going to be, Una's going to come down and is definitely an answer me or you're in trouble card.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, you've got 2 different paths to victory here. You can go on the mill plan, or you can go on the I'm just going to beat you in the head with a 5/5 flyer plan.
Right, and it looks like I think Yuza's hand is just 3 lands. There might be 2 lands, 1 spell in there. I'm not completely sure, but so Yuza sends in with both of his guys and makes a token with the Mycoderm. And then he sacrifices it to give his creature +1/+1, killing off the Stink Drinker in the process.
It only comes funguses and whatever.
All right.
Looks like Sean's going to drop to 16 off that attack.
Martin says, sure, go ahead.
Monty 16, Juza 14.
Oh, and there's the Una.
Down a game.
There's the
All
Una
right.
go.
Martin needs to find an answer right now.
I have card draw.
And that's a 4th land for Martin Yuza's hand. Not what he was looking for by any stretch of the imagination. Tries to do a little bluff there attack, but
To no avail.
yeah, no avail. I mean, you can't blame him for trying, but
Sure.
yeah, That Fairy Macabre gets eaten by that Una, and now Sean's going to be able to activate that Una and
Battle with it.
battle with it. And plus, Martin's deck is only 2 colors, so he's got a pretty good chance of getting a couple tokens off that.
Test the faith. Martin's like, nope, I got nothing.
All right.
And Sean Monty takes down Martin Juza in the bubble match. So Sean going to go to game 2. Unfortunately, Martin Juza's ride ends right here, right now.
Right. I mean, Juza put up a good showing still. 6-3 in one of the largest, or the largest Magic tournament of all time is pretty impressive. But ultimately, the limited master could not get it done. He'll be, I'm sure, hanging outside events tomorrow. Some of the mini that are available at Grand Prix Las Vegas.
The lines were long over there. At some point today, there was hundreds and hundreds of people playing in public events, and that's what you want people to do. They come to the big show, and this really is the big top.
Yeah.
This is the circus coming to town, and you want folks to come and enjoy the show.
It really does feel like a convention. Like I said earlier, everything is here. It's not just a tournament being played, it's an entire festival of Magic.
Jesse Hampton down a game, going to 4.
Oh, that's rough. And this hand is not great for Jesse if he's going to keep it. Looks like Esprazoa, Forest, and 2 more spells. Yeah, I think that might be a Kadama's reach, which will maybe give him a chance, but okay.
Oh, there's another land.
All right.
Yeah, pass it.
Jesse plays his island.
There's spend the Ephemeron.
Oh.
Oh, there's another one in Sam's hand.
Oh my.
Oh, this is going to be a savage beating.
This could be quick and brutal. He's going to suspend this second Ephemeron. Sam's got, in a couple of turns, he's going to have 2 4/4s attacking, and he has a Logic Knot in his hand too. Now there's a Kadama's reach from Jesse Hampton.
Well, it's going to get him the land he wants and needs.
Right. That'll help out a little bit, help unmulligan him, give him a 4th land, accelerating him, and also helping him cast whatever he might draw.
Yeah, correct. I was like, okay, you're gonna put in the water.
Right. Yeah. He's got too many land in play.
Yeah. Jesse has too many lands in play right now. He needs to.
Jesse Hampton's got too many lands in play.
Right. He played his 3rd land for this turn. Okay, there we go. He fixed it.
Okay.
He picked the planes back up. All right. So now Sam picks down his Ephemerons.
All right. So.
All right. So now Jesse's hand looks like Path to Exile, Imperious Sword, and Tuco Shaman, Esprazoa. For a 4-card hand, this actually turned out to be pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
He can path one of those Ephemerons when it comes into play.
Except he doesn't have any. Well, he does have the white mana.
Yeah, he's got the white mana in his hand. He can suspend the Tuco Shaman to get up another card. He's got an Imperious Sword to lay the beats this turn. For a 4-card hand, Jesse's putting up a
pretty reasonable fight.
Pretty reasonable draw.
Echoing Truth bounces the Ephemeron. Bounces the Imperiosaur.
And a Riftwing Cloudscape drawn by Sam Black. Looks like the suspend train is not going to stop here.
Is pulling into this station.
Yeah, there we go. Choo-choo.
Oh, is that an earthquake over there?
Yeah, 3 suspend cards, just tore a hole in the multiverse, going straight to the Blind Eternities. So now if you're Jesse, let's see, so this time he's going to opt for Tuco Shaman. He's like, well, maybe have another tempo play. Let's play this guy instead.
All right, there's the Ephemeron, which is most certainly going to get pathed when it attacks. Nope.
Now, something Jesse might notice is that Sam is stuck on only 1 blue mana right now. So pathing him does enable that 2nd blue mana, which could be a factor in Jesse's decision.
There's a Logic Knot in Sam Black's hand.
Absolutely, and with 2 blue mana, he could cast that, which would really put a dent in Jesse's plans. Jesse draws Aether Snipe here, which could send one of those Ephemerons back. And
it's certainly going to.
Wow.
As 4 land hands go, this one's pretty spicy.
Right. If you were tuning in, you would probably not realize that Jesse mulliganed to 4 this game. I mean, he's done an admirable job of getting right back in this. It goes to show you how much card advantage is available in the blue-green colors.
Right. Well, there's a hard cast Baloth for Sam Black. So Jesse Hampton dropped to 12. And that Path to Exile let Sam get the 2nd blue.
Right, it did. And note that Jesse just drew Trump the Domains, which could be a way for him to strike back and win this game. Sam has that logic knot, but if Sam doesn't leave it open, Jesse could position himself in a way to trump and win. All right, so now Jesse's going to use up the path that we've been talking about on that bail-off.
Another blue, and he's gonna swing in. That's certainly not inconsiderable amount of damage right there.
Right, crunching for 7.
That will take Sam Black down to 10. Now the Cloudskate is going to come off of suspend.
And it looks like Jesse's probably going to cast a Penumbra Spider here, I would imagine. He's got a Penumbra Spider and a Imperiosaur, and I think he's going to cast
That's
a
an Esperzoa too.
And an Esperzoa. Yeah, so down comes the Spider. The Itsy Bitsy Spider is in play.
That will keep the Cloudskate off his back.
Yeah, keep the Cloudskate at bay. All right. Or not. Goes right back into Jesse's hand from the Riftwind Cloudskate. And Sam just looks interested in having Jesse's life total here, dropping him to 6 if he attacks with both creatures. The problem is Sam is also only at 10.
Right.
He has to be careful that he doesn't accidentally just fall prey to a pump spell by Jesse Hampton, perhaps a pump spell like Trump the Domains. We know Sam has that logic knot, but...
I mean, and he knows that Jesse has Cryptic Command, but Jesse doesn't have nearly enough mana to cast both Trump the Domains and Cryptic Command at the same turn.
Right. Looks like Sam also has a Moldervine Cloak.
He does.
He's looking at. That would bring Jesse to 4 life if he chooses to cast it. All right, which he does, and crunch.
Yeah, that's a big pile of damage right there.
Oh, it's 5.
Brings him to
Or
3.
Correct.
So
Even better.
here's your clock, Jesse Hampton. Knocks top of his deck. What's he get? It's a forest. Not what he was hoping for.
All right.
I mean, you kind of just got to play the... it doesn't matter.
I mean, I guess if you're Jesse, I think you just go for the Tromp here. But we know Sam Black has that logic knot. And he can do it for, looks like, 3.
Yeah.
Which would be enough to counter Jesse's Tromp the Domains. The only other play Jesse can make that's reasonable, I think, is Esperzoa plus Penumbra Spider. And if Sam logic knots one of those two, it won't be enough.
Trump the Domains.
All right, and there's the logic knot.
3, right?
All right.
Okay, handshake goes across the table from Jesse Hampton to Sam Black. Sam Black takes it down in round 9, 2 games to 0.